Alright guys, who's a fan of Mancera's fragrances? Are you a fan? What are your favorite Mancera fragrances? Do let me know. Add a comment below so I can find out. But it's been a while since I've done a Mancera focused list. Over 2 years. And I'm doing one today. It's a top 21 list plus some bonus material after the outro. So find out about my top 21 Mancera fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yesterday I'm talking about Mancera. Are you a fan of this house? It's a sister house to Montal. Way back like 12 years ago, I first discovered Montal. After Montal, I discovered Mancera. So they are connected, and some of the fragrances do smell alike, and some are kind of repetitive as well. But these houses, both Montal and Mancera, are run by Pear Montal, and he takes credit for all the perfumes. I'm not sure if he really is the person behind the perfumes. We'll go ahead and go with that. But they do make some great fragrances and some not so good ones as well. You'll hear what I think about each of the fragrances. Mostly it's a positive list, but at the beginning of the countdown at number 21 and number 20 are my least favorite fragrances. In fact, number 21 is a fragrance I don't care for. I bought it to feature in a themed video and I couldn't stand it. But let's go ahead and get started. The first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is at number 21. This is a top 21 list. So this is Wild Cherry, this one right here. All I have to say is the bottle is super gorgeous, but the fragrance itself sucks. To me, it's a cherry fragrance that smells like cough syrup, and I don't like it. I bought it, as I said, to feature in a cherry video, and I can't stop. I can't wear it. I really can't. Although some of you might be fans of it, but there is that kind of throat lozenge, cherry flavored cough drop, cough syrup thing in here. It turns me off and I don't want to wear it. But the notes are black cherry, white musk, vanilla pods, patchouli, heliotrope. Shame it's a really nice looking bottle. The fragrance itself is not a favorite of mine. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. Put a comment down, but we're starting off with that fragrance, Wild Cherry, at number 21. Then going to Black Gold at number 20. Black Gold is easier to wear, not as bad as Wild Cherry. In fact, Black Gold is not bad. It's just a very boring fragrance. It's just very bordering kind of designer-esque fragrances, and I look to Mancera and Montal for niche fragrances, so that's why this is ranked low. So it's lavender, cinnamon, violet, jasmine, leather, marine notes, woods, nutmeg, citruses, white musk, patchouli, and oud. There's so many different notes in this one, but I feel like it's mostly about the aromatic touches of the lavender. It's very aromatic forward and some spices. There's some warmth there. There's also this powdery effect with the violet. And these are kind of what's running the show here. Eventually it does settle to a leather, oud and woods and things like that. But to me, it's a boring journey. So at number 20, Black Gold. So the next fragrance I'm talking about is Lovely Garden from Mancera. I think it's a nice fragrance. It's just ranked low because I really appreciate some of the other ones more. This is Lovely Garden right here. This is probably the only fragrance I have with this, what do you call it, like a flower thingy on there. It's a very feminine fragrance. It's also very white floral with Turkish rose. So there's the white floral effect plus lots of rosiness. And then there's the citrus florals coming in here as well. And there's something gourmand under there. So it gives me a bubblegummy, sweet candied, kind of very young, but very intense beast mode-like fragrance experience here. So you might like it. It's ranked low. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not a bad fragrance. I don't hate it like Wild Cherry. So Lovely Garden, really a fun and playful young energy fragrance. Then moving on to the next fragrance at number 18. It's Wild Leather, this one right here. So this is similar to the Wild Cherry, but this is Wild Leather. This one's definitely much better than Wild Cherry, and I love the bottle, obviously. To think this is one of the nicest looking bottles, to me, it's kind of like an animal print. Really like that about it. And the juice in this one is much darker, so it's much orangier in comparison to the Wild Cherry, as you can see right here. But this is definitely lots of leather with oak moss. There's woods in here, earthy notes as well. There's a muskiness, and then there's light kind of rosiness that pops through, and of course there's a bit of ambery when it's drying down as well. Not so fresh. There are, there's like bergamot in here as well, but in the end it's definitely just a very leathery fragrance. Mancera style. You'll definitely notice that this is Mancera-esque or Montal-esque, but either way, I've ranked it here at number 18. Of course, there are better fragrances out there from this house for me. So up next, going to the fragrance Oud Violet. This one right here. I got into violet fragrances, and last year, I believe it was last year, I did a video on violet fragrances. I picked this one up as somebody was selling it, and I wanted to have it. I do enjoy it, and once again, it's definitely Mancera-esque. It has that kind of Mancera DNA or Montal DNA with a major, potency of violets in here, along with some amber. There's patchouli leaves, white musk, vetiver, spices, and oud. They do add oud in a lot of their fragrances, but in this one, to me, the oud is not a standout. It's all about the violet and the way it blends with the amber and the patchouli. So this is Oud Violet at number 17. The next one at number 16 is SOLEIL de Italy. This one right here. It's a really great citrusy fragrance, also very watery fresh. So when you're wearing this fragrance, there's definitely the watery effect. It's very flowy and drippy and wet. That's what's in here. So I'm talking about aquatic notes, water notes. I'm not talking about marine notes. It doesn't get fishy, but maybe it might to some people because there is some ambergris in here as well. Perhaps in the dry down, but I don't think it's that strong. It's loads of citruses, loads of juicy watery notes, along with white musk and some spices and earthy patchouli, rose, vetiver, and cedar. So that is SOLEIL de Italy. To me, it's citruses from the Mediterranean. That's kind of how it wears for me. The next one is a fragrance, probably one of the more popular fragrances from this house, and I'm actually only featuring the flanker that came out a couple years ago. I think it's been a couple of years. This is Intense CEDRAT Boisé. Of course, the original CEDRAT Boisé has been around, but the Intense to me is a little better. It's got loads of citruses, and of course, there's a leatheriness when it dries down. Kind of has that kind of reminder of Aventus. It's kind of similar, but then it's not to me. This is a lot more syrupy and also ambery, or there's definitely kind of a syrupy molassesy thing happening here. And of course, you're not getting a pineapple smell. It does remind you of pineapple, but it's mostly citruses and lemons and things like that. And of course, this kind of style, it's this very modern sheeper-like style, has an oak moss and things like that in the base note and leather, so it dries down to kind of a leathery, oak mossy kind of a fragrance. But in the end, it's very, very fresh, refreshing. I like this particular version more. It's much more intense, and it's a bit more warmed up in comparison to the other version, the original. So this is Intense CEDRAT Boisé at number 15. And the next fragrance is Roses Greedy. This one right here. Are you familiar with this one? This is a really, really great rose fragrance. It's a rose bomb. It's also leaning feminine, but I like the way the rose smells in this. Really absolutely delicious. There's some sugariness and vanillic touches in the dry down as well, along with the roses, because this is a rose overdose. There are some other flowers that come in and things like that. Eventually it dries down to an amber and, a resinous touch in the base, but along the way you'll also experience some citruses. Really beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful, really, really intoxicating smell of roses. And I really love the way roses smell, especially when you're walking in a garden and it's a rose garden and those roses are so fragrant and it's warmed and baking under the sun and the smell is like hitting your nose. This kind of reminds me of that. So this is Roses Greedy at number 14. Next up at number 13, it's Amber Fever. This one right here, my cap is not on. So a long time ago, Mancera bottles were decantable, and they're also different compared to Montal, whereas Mancera are 120 ml or 125, one of those, in comparison to Montal, which are 100 ml. Now the bottles are no longer decantable because these things do get stuck, and sometimes you're opening up the cap and it's turning the bottle, the actual sprayer, and it comes off and you can't spray the thing. So thankfully they are making these bottles not easily to decant, but those of you that do decanting might not be so easy. But Amber Fever at number 13 is definitely a very ambery fragrance, similar to a lot of Mancera or Montal fragrances because it has their major DNA. But along with this one, it does also have that kind of ambroxany thing that's very, very popular, kind of hinting at Baccarat Rouge. But this is amber, caramel, whiskey, tonka, musk, teakwood, rose, hazelnuts, and oak moss. It's a really, really delicious fragrance, but I prefer some of the other fragrances a little more. I put it here. It's lower because of that whole ambroxan, Baccarat Rouge-like thing. I do enjoy that. Don't get me wrong, but it's ranked lower because I prefer the other fragrances. So this is Amber Fever at number 13. And then the next fragrance is Melody of the Sun. This is Mancera's tea fragrance. If you like tea fragrances, you got to definitely get your nose on this one. It not only has green tea, but it also has mate. The mate to me always has a grassy effect, but kind of a green and herbal grassiness. But it's very, very cozy here with the green tea. It's very tea-like. If you like tea fragrances and you're familiar with the way they smell, you'll notice it here. But it's not only the tea, it's loads of citruses of lemon. There's a major lemoniness in here, and also there's blackcurrant, which is definitely the fruitiness, but there's also grapefruit in here. So there's some zing, and then there's some spiciness from that grapefruit that's in here. But there's jasmine, perfect balance or contrast to the tea, lavender, pear, osmanthus, cardamom, and of course, wonderful wear, slightly fruity, very citrusy, very juicy, and of course, very tea-like, along with that kind of green, grassy, herbal grassiness of the mate note. So that's Melody of the Sun at number 12. And then at number 11, this is a really, really great oud fragrance from Mancera, but obviously it's ranked lower because I'm kind of bored of oud. But still, it's a really, really great fragrance. This is oud exclusive. This one right here. Some of these fragrances I do have full reviews of on the channel. You can go find out more about the fragrances by themselves. This one definitely for sure. But this is a very spicy take on oud. Oud and spices. It's warm spices, so there's a bit of a holiday-ish vibe here. And then contrasted with rose. Kind of, I don't know if it's subconscious or some faintly does remind me of something like Cinnabar in a Mancera way. I don't know if you guys know this fragrance. Because of the rose and the spices and the kind of a cinnamoniness, that's what reminds me of that. But there's also patchouli here, violet, leather, vanilla, and white musk. Really great oud fragrance. You should definitely check it out. Definitely very potent and intense, and definitely oud lover's dream come true. Once again, it's oud and rose together, and a great creation from Mancera. So oud exclusive at number 11. And then their vetiver fragrance is really, really solid, and I've ranked it here at number 10. Obviously, I prefer the other fragrances more, but Vetiver Sensuel at number 10 is really, really great. And what I like about this one, it's not vetiver in your face. Even though the majority of the fragrance is all about the vetiver, it is really, really spiked with a lot of citruses here. It's a very citrusy take on vetiver, so it makes for a very, very easy to wear. At least to me, that's how I experienced this fragrance. Along the way with the vetiver and the citruses, there's woods, oak moss, amber, mint, patchouli, and orchid. But lots of citruses like lemons, bergamot, lime, all of that stuff comes in and really makes a very juicy wear contrasted with the vetiver to create a kind of grassiness. So this is Vetiver Sensuel at number 10. And then a better oud, even better than oud exclusive. This is at number 9. It's Crazy for Oud. This is kind of a gourmand take on oud, and it smells really, really great. I like this one. It is definitely the DNA of Mancera. This is so Mancera. Like when I smell it, instantly think about Mancera or Montal, but it's Laotian oud with leather. There's tiramisu, rose, violet, patchouli, magnolia, vanilla, white musk, and woods. It's very creamy. I think it's the tiramisu and the vanilla in here creates for the very creamy wear. But the Laotian oud does have a little bit of funk. It's slightly animalic, but I like that about this one. I can tolerate a little bit, and I like that contrast. It needs it. Fragrances do need it, and it's done really nicely here. I think the rose comes in as well. It's the typical combination of rose and oud, but with this one, you've got the tiramisu kind of gourmandish touches, and of course the creaminess and everything else that's in here. So Crazy for Oud at number 9. And then this is a very popular one that came out several years after when Baccarat Rouge was so popular, like around 2019, I think is when this launched. This is Instant Crush. Really great fragrance if you like Baccarat Rouge or some different takes on Baccarat Rouge, because it does have that kind of reminder in here. It's got like ambroxany notes, but lots of saffron as well. But with this one, there's loads of citruses, amber, rose, vanilla, ginger, jasmine, sandalwood, white musk, and oak moss. So I think this is kind of like Oud for Greatness, Baccarat Rouge, Après l'Amour, and a lot of other different fragrances that are all kind of utilizing and capitalizing on the ambroxan and ambergris with saffron and oakmoss kind of a thing. Really great, very long-lasting, sexy trail. This is Instant Crush from Mancera at number 8. And then at number 7, we've got Velvet Vanilla for candied, delicious tasting, or wearing actually I should say, vanilla fragrance. This one kind of lightly hints at something like Love Don't Be Shy, because there's a little minute amount of the citrus floral note of orange flower or orange blossom, so all the vanillic touches against that kind of does hint at it. But this is kind of a more white floral take on this kind of a fragrance rather than just focusing on the orange blossom, because this has tuberose and jasmine as well, along with angelica, to create this kind of, with the orange flower of course, to create the kind of reminder of Love Don't Be Shy. Less with the angelica, more with the tuberose and the jasmine. But it's very, very vanillic, and it's very sweet, a bit candied, but quite delicious and very, very potent. So Velvet Vanilla at number 7. And I've discussed this fragrance quite a bit. This is one of my favorites from Mancera. It's Holiday in a Bottle, and it's simply called Holidays, this one right here. Yeah, this is basically, you're on a beach, lots of tropical flowers, coconut. There's definitely the idea of suntan lotion, cocktails, you know, the smell of the air in the tropical, you know, destination you're in, and drinking like coconutty drinks and things like that. But of course, it does remind me of suntan lotion and all the different kind of coconutty or tropical kind of smells that you get. So it's vacation in a bottle, but more of a vacation in a tropical destination. And it's super delicious and a bit gourmand as well with some of the notes in here. So Holidays, yum fragrance for me from Mancera. I really love that one. I'm just instantly transported to a vacation destination in a tropical, you know, place somewhere. So up next at number 5, it's Fig Ecstasy. This one right here. Who's a fan of this one? Mancera does a really great fig fragrance, really like it, and even though you get the DNA of Mancera way in the bottom, the base of this fragrance, I think they've done a great job with the smell. This is more of a woody green take on fig rather than a fruity, but I get some light, very, very light hints of some fruits in there. It's featuring fig milk, fig leaf, leather, sandalwood, incense, ginger, black pepper, vanilla, benzoin, tonka, and styrax. Remember, I said very light, minute amounts of fruits I get when you really, really study the fragrance, but otherwise you won't get that. It's mostly about the milkiness, kind of the fig milk. When you pick the leaves or the fruits, you're going to get this little fig milkiness, and it's here. It smells like the fig tree, and of course the fig leaves, and it's just a kind of a woody take on the fig tree smell. So Fig Ecstasy from Mancera, a really great fragrance. And the next fragrance is Tonka Cola. This is a cherry tonka lover's dream come true fragrance. First of all, it's very fizzy. It's got a Coca-Cola vibe in here, but that kind of effervescence is captured here. Plus, it's got the tonka beans. You've got this kind of bitter almondy nuttiness in here, light tobacco-ish nuances as well. Then you've got cherries. Cherries are aplenty here, and I feel like tonka and cherries are kind of balancing each other out. You'll notice this kind of a smell in a lot of tonka-focused fragrances, like Pure Havana. A lot of people got cherries from it, and of course it featured loads of tonka in there. So this is a really yummy gourmandish fragrance with all these kind of powdery vanillic touches, resinous touches, and then of course spices thrown in. So it's got a bit of a holiday-ish vibe. It's very, very complex. A lot of different things happening. Fizzy cola, tonka, cherries, and then of course the vanillic gourmandy, gourmandy notes along with the spices. Tonka Cola is really, really great at number 4. Then it's Roses Vanille, this one right here. And Roses Vanille is kind of like Intense Cafe, but Mancera style. Sure, it's going to remind you of Intense Cafe, but this is more creamier, I think. And it doesn't have that lactonic vibe, but it's got more of an ambery vibe, I think. So it's rose, Turkish delight, lemons, intense vanilla, white musk, and cedar. If you're kind of looking for an alternative to Intense Cafe, this will satisfy. It's basically the sister house that produced it, but it smells similar, but it's got that kind of same Mancera Montal DNA under there. You'll totally smell it. So Roses Vanille at number 3. So at number 2, it's Red Tobacco, this one right here. This is a love it or hate it fragrance. A lot of you really love it. A lot of you really hate it, so it's kind of very polarizing. It might actually be more loves than hates, but there are those people, I get comments, I hate this fragrance kind of a thing. It is super, super potent, intense to the max. and they're making an intense version of this. Stay tuned to the bonus section. I'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, this is so intense with tobacco, vanilla, amber, patchouli, cinnamon, oud, saffron, green apple, incense, peach, nutmeg, and jasmine. It's sticky, sweet, fruity, ambery, very spicy, and dirty, ashy tobacco with sweet, syrupy, vanillic touches. Really super potent. You've got to be really into fragrances to really appreciate this, because yeah, I know there's people that hate this fragrance because it's just really overwhelming. Either way, red tobacco at number 2, and as I said, stay tuned to the bonus section. I'm going to discuss a little bit about the intense red tobacco. And at number 1, can you guess? If you know me, you probably already know. At number 1, it's Hindu Kush. What I like about this fragrance and why I feature it at number 1 quite a bit is it's the perfect balance. It acts pretty potent and has intensity, and it also the kind of fragrance you can wear in the heat and it's not going to choke you. At least it doesn't choke me. And also really love the trail. Now you're going to think this smells, I mean, to me it doesn't really smell like literally cannabis. There is a kind of a green thing running throughout it. I don't get marijuana or anything like that. It's just something very green contrast with the other notes, but it's cannabis with incense, woods, spices, patchouli, amber, guaiac wood, vanilla, labdanum, and white musk. The trail is super sexy. I like the creaminess of the woods. It wears really nice. It's not dry. It sticks to and clings on. It's not a super beast mode fragrance, but I like that balance about this fragrance. I like the trail. It has lingering power. It's not going to choke you out, so you can wear it. I really love the smell. It doesn't really smell like cannabis as in the green stuff, but I don't know, maybe I'm not too sensitive for it in this particular fragrance. I have heard people say it's overly like cannabis-like, but for me, I just think everything is just perfectly balanced and I like wearing it, especially in the heat. So Hindu Kush at number 1, and that is the end of that video, or this video. So let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Are you a fan of them? Are you a fan of any of them specifically? And how would you rank the top 5 if you have several Mancera fragrances? Or do a top 3 if you can, if you only have 3 or something. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances, and also let me know what's missing. I know there's a ton of fragrances. These guys crank out fragrances like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of them a year. Do they do that many? Maybe 3, 4, 5 a year, but not 10. I don't know. But there's a lot of fragrances in the Mancera catalog. This is all I have, and this is definitely my ranking currently. Let me know your thoughts, but do let me know what other fragrances I should check out from Mancera as well. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Okay, Mancera is definitely launching an intense red tobacco, or is it red tobacco intense? They are definitely launching it. And I've heard so many people mention this is so strong and so overwhelming. How are they going to top this fragrance? Because this already is pretty beast mode, even to me. It's very long lasting. And so what are we going to get with intense red tobacco, or red tobacco intense? Something super nuclear, and it better fill this room up, and the smell would be, stuck here for days, kind of like followed. But the notes for the new red tobacco intense, or intense red tobacco, are for top notes: cinnamon, saffron, incense, nutmeg, Nepalese oud, and white pear. For heart, we've got patchouli leaves, tobacco leaf, Haitian vetiver, and jasmine. Finally, in the base notes, we've got Madagascar vanilla pods, Guaiac wood, sandalwood, and white musk. Apple has been removed from it. So Apple did add the freshness to this fragrance. So I'm assuming that they're just going to intensify it, and they had to tone down the apple or completely remove it to add more of an amped up, more stronger note in here to give it a more depth even further, because this is really deep already. And I'm really curious what they're going to do with this, because as I said, this is a pretty nuclear fragrance as it is. How much more intense can they make this fragrance? What is it going to do? Choke us out completely? What do you guys think is going to happen with the new red tobacco intense, or intense red tobacco? Put a comment down below so I can find out. Are you a fan of the original red tobacco? Let me know who enjoys it, who does not enjoy it. And also, did you know that there are other fragrances out there that are kind of similar to this? There's one by Parfums de Marly. It's called Carlisle. And then there's also one from Terenzi, and I forgot the name of that one. I'll have to put the name up here to flash. But 3 fragrances. I feel like the Terenzi is so nuclear, so sticky. much more intense than this red tobacco. So I'm assuming that the red tobacco intense is even going to be more intense than that Terenzi fragrance. We shall see. I'm looking forward to it. I really did enjoy Intense CEDRAT Boise. Where is it? I can pull it up. I really did enjoy this one. I did enjoy it more than the original, although the original is very like a kind of a dumb reach fragrance. And so now that they're doing intense versions of fragrances, I can only imagine what they're going to do the red tobacco. This is going to be nuclear. I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's going to perform like Followed by Kerosene. Fills a room up and the smell doesn't disappear for days. And when you get it on your clothes, it's on there for a long, long time. If you want to find out more about Followed, I do have a full review of that fragrance. That is a fragrance I don't spray in this room anymore whatsoever. Absolutely not. Not only it just takes over this room, but if it gets on your clothes, which it has when you spray it, because it does float down, I could smell it on my pants days. After 2 days, 2 times of dry cleaning, I could smell it. So I'm only hoping that the Intense Red Tobacco or Red Tobacco Intense is going to go in this direction. Something really super potent, a room filler, and something you can't wash off for days. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Let me know. Are you looking forward to the Intense Red Tobacco, or are you okay with Red Tobacco on its own, original Red Tobacco, as it is super potent already? Do let me know. Put a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, guys, I appreciate you tuning in today. Stay tuned for another video soon. Bye-bye.